So, finally, it's the return of the... Wait, this is the Bundesliga. No, this is Ligue 1. La Liga was last week. There we go. It is finally the return of the Premier League. Oh, you know, it's been almost 100 days since the last Premier League game. And I think the majority of people in this country have felt those each and every one of those 100 days. And, well, it may be a miracle, it may come as a surprise, but the Premier League is back. And there is so much to talk about what is going to happen in these last 9 games. Now, I will be the first one to admit I have been pretty critical about the fact that the Premier League is restarting. Like back when it was originally sort of suspended, I believe that either a null and void or points per game was just the best way to end the season. And even when Project Restart was announced, I was not particularly happy that it did seem to just completely ignore some of the big factors that are still, happening and going on with the virus and within the Premier League itself. Yeah, I've made a video on it, I've done a blog post, and I'm still a bit iffy around the whole restart to the Premier League. I mean, in my personal opinion, Bain players have been completely overlooked here by the Premier League and the FA. Many Bain players have expressed their concerns about returning, considering they are the most at risk about catching COVID-19. So it seems really weird that they would go ahead with it, and especially from my perspective and what I've read, they don't seem to really have taken their concerns too heavily, and they've kind of all had to just return to training and just start their prep for the restart without really too many sort of assurances from the Premier League and the FA that they will be safe. And that's still my big issue with the restart of the Premier League. I'm still not sure that it is 100% safe for all this to start going ahead. I know that the FA and the Premier League will be trying their hardest and doing their best to make sure that every single player, every single member of coaching staff, everyone that's involved will be as safe as possible, but we still keep getting these positive coronavirus cases creeping into the Premier League. A few days ago, new round of testing revealed 2 new cases, and one of them was a Norwich player who had played in a friendly just a week before, which is kind of scary to think about. I know there's all these social distancing measures and sort of new rules about playing to make sure that the players are safe, but still that's a bit it's a bit screwed that this player who did test positive was playing in a game about a week ago. So did he get it from the game? Did he get it from whatever? But still, that 2-week incubation period, he's going out playing football, which does lead me to worry. Is how many cases are we going to see? I know we've had rounds where it's been 0, but it's still sort of it's a 2-week sort of lag on everything. And the last thing you really want is the Premier League to be completely scrapped again. I know things in Germany have worked well, in Spain, their sort of measures are working well. But remember, this sort of virus is on a country by country basis, and each country has taken their own sort of thing. It's not like a unified, it's not like FIFA have gone, here's what you got to do. It's really up to the individual leagues on what they do. So before I just hope that the FA and the Premier League have thought things through very well to make sure that these players are as safe as possible and that we can actually complete these final 9 games of the season. Now I'm just going to stop wittering on about that and actually get into the fact that the Premier League is back tomorrow. It's actually back tomorrow, and we are kicking off with Arsenal versus Manchester City, which is a huge game, and it has huge sort of implications for the rest of these last 9 games, the rest of the season. Well, the title has been settled, and we all know that Liverpool are going to win. It's just a known fact at this point that Liverpool are going to win the league. And I know a lot of us want to see the return of it, but unfortunately, the football fans that aren't Liverpool fans are going to have to deal with the fact that we're going to have smug Liverpool fans in, well, for the next year or so. But quick message out to Liverpool fans. Just remember, Blackburn has won one and Leicester have won one, so you're on the same level as them now. But beside that, we've got a big top 4 race and a big relegation battle still to look forward to for these remaining 9 games, and it is going to be super intense for all the teams involved. If we start with this top 4 battle, we've got Manchester City, Leicester, Chelsea, Manchester United, Sheffield United, Wolves, potentially Tottenham and Arsenal still vying for a place in the top 4. I say potentially Arsenal and Tottenham. If you sort of noticed, I was really sort of mentioned them with any sort of thing about getting a top 4 this season. I mean, you've got them in 8th and 9th place in the table. They're not exactly doing brilliantly, but mathematically they can still get it. But let's be real, Tottenham and Arsenal fans, your chances of top 4 are very, very small. Now, you can call me out my bias here, but yeah, let's face it, you don't really have much of a chance at the top 4 place. It's really going to be down to either Leicester, Chelsea or Manchester United are the big 3 sort of go for this top 4 places. You then have your Sheffield and your Wolves that are looking to get a Europe spot, maybe Europa League, or depending on what happens with this Man City sort of fiasco with their financial fair play, whether they could, grab that final Champions League spot. But let's face it, you're fighting for Europa League space, and that is just the fact that you're going to have to beat Wolves and Sheffield United to be Europe space. That is what the next 9 games are for you. Now, a lot of people have been predicting that it's probably going to be Chelsea and Manchester United in the top 4, and even though I would be inclined to agree, I don't know which way it's going to go. Leicester do have that sort of buffer gap to Chelsea in 3rd place. Are they really going to throw that away in 9 games? Maybe, but I don't see it happening. I think it could be close, but I don't see just Leicester completely bottling the top 4 spot. I think it's just going to be really a case of, can Chelsea catch up and can Manchester United catch up? United came into this suspension of the season on a huge run of form, and they were doing brilliantly, and they're really sort of trying to close that gap on Chelsea, and it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Chelsea were up, down, bloody inconsistent, but they were havocked by injuries and key players out. You had Kante out, had Abraham out, Kovacic is also out, but all these players are now back as we return, and that's just, it's not just the same for Chelsea, it's the same across the Premier League. You've got many key players that were injured have all kind of come back. So we're going to see it feels like some kind of just sprint to the finish now. All teams are more or less full strength, battling out, and it could really be interesting. But I think it's really going to be between Chelsea and United on who gets that final spot. I'd love to say that Chelsea would get it, but we need to make sure that we are keeping up consistency. We need to make sure that we are dropping minimal points against teams we should be beating. Too often did Chelsea just get stupid results against teams that we really should be beating. If we go into our first game against Villa and we lose, I know, or even draw, I know that we're not getting top 4, because in that game, Villa are fighting for relegation. I get it, they'll be really fighting to make sure that they stay up. But if Chelsea can't beat Villa, we're done. So now let's go on to that relegation battle, because it is absolutely insane. So at the very, very bottom of the table, you have Norwich, who are on 21 points and more or less looking like they're down and out. Next up from them, you've got Villa on 25 points. And then you've got Bournemouth, Watford, West Ham on 27 points. And then just above them is Brighton on 29 points. that is huge. You know, you got from 19th to 15th place, all within 4 points of each other with 9 games remaining. Now, Watford had a horrendous start to the season. You know, they were right at the bottom of the table, looked absolutely out of this. You know, they looked horrendous. But, you know, Nigel Pearson's come in and they're shooting up the table now. You know, they went from dead last to 17th, you know, picking off some amazing results. You know, including beating Liverpool to make sure that they didn't go undefeated, which was amazing, by the way. Thank you so much, Watford. You know, brilliant job. But, you know, will they be able to keep that momentum? That's the whole thing. Like, we've had 3 months off. That doesn't happen unless it's from the end of one season to the start of the next. It doesn't happen that you just have a 3 month break in the middle of a season. And what happens? All these teams that came in with an amazing sort of run of form, are they going to continue that run of form, or are they going to get this big break and then they're just going to completely capitulate and go downhill? Is that going to say what's going to happen to Watford? You know, they started off the actual season really poorly. Are they going to come back after 3 months off and then also do really poorly? Who knows? And then there's so much unknown about these last 9 games, and I think it's possibly the most exciting sort of 9 game weeks of fixtures ever in Premier League history. It surely is going to be incredible. But in terms of my predictions of who I think are really realistically going to go down, it's probably going to be Norwich. I might say Villa, because you know, Villa do have a fairly decent team, but they've not really done much with it this season. And that's how they really find themselves in the situation they are. So I think it's going to be Norwich, Villa, and then out of those 3, out of the rest of the 4 teams, I think the bottom 3 is going to stay more or less the way it is. I think we're going to see Bournemouth go down. I think Watford under Nigel Pearson are doing incredible, and I don't think they're going to go down whatsoever. They're just sort of in the place where they are at the moment because of their poor start, and I think they're going to just continue climbing. West Ham have been in this position so many times. You know, so many times we've seen West Ham just at the foot of the table and then just sort of shithouse their way out of the bottom 3, like in the last few weeks. So I think that's realistically what's going to happen to West Ham. And I think Brighton just have, you know, that enough to be able to stay up. And I think, realistically, I think that's the way it's going to go. I think it's just the current bottom 3 are going to stay there. That is going to be my bold prediction. Of course, in 4 or 5 weeks' time, we will actually see what happens. But, it's hard to know what's going to happen at the moment. So, there we have it. The return of the Premier League. Let me know how excited you are. I am pretty excited. I'm actually buzzing at the moment because we've got 3 weeks until this return of the Formula 1 season, which there will definitely be a video coming out about the start of that very, very soon. So make sure to stay tuned for that. So guys, if you did like this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you are new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell, because when I do occasionally upload, you might actually get notified. And I definitely will be trying to upload more now that sport is coming back to normal. There's plenty more to talk about. Of course, lockdown just sort of screwed everything, and especially when you're trying to run a sports blog and a sports, YouTube channel, it kind of really throws a massive spanner in the works. But trust me, there is stuff coming over this summer, and I cannot wait to see what the summer of sports has in store for us. So guys, thank you so much for watching. My name's been Louis Edward. Thank you